All right, Mr. Chair, it's my understanding that we're moving House File 4492 to the General Register. Would you like to introduce your bill and move its sending it to the General Register?
Thank you, yes, Chair, that's my motion. My bill, we had, last year, we created a task force for the SGU veterans, and we included the Commander's Task Force in that task force. And it came to our attention that they're not officially codified in state statute. So that is what this bill does. It does not raise the budget at all, and we do have a couple of testifiers.
Perfect. Would you please state your name for the record and begin your testimony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Co-Chair, and committee members. My name is Brad Lindsay. I am the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of House File 4492, and thank you to Chair Bliss for bringing this bill forward. The Minnesota Commander's Task Force was originally created back in 1988 and is comprised of elected leaders, adjutants, and legislative staff from the 8 largest congressionally chartered veterans service organizations in Minnesota. I've had the privilege of working with the Minnesota Commander's Task Force for in my entire time at the department, going back to '99. This bill codifies an organizational structure that has continued to be a key group here at the Capitol, advocating for our state's veterans. The Commander's Task Force advises the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs, the legislature, and the governor on matters relating to veterans, the families of veterans, and the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs. Former Commissioner and retired Major General Larry Shelito used to refer to them as his board of directors, and I think that's how we've kind of treated them always. The CTF meets quarterly also to hear updates and provide feedback to district and state staff from Minnesota's congressional delegation. While the CTF chair and the elected leaders of the veteran service organizations change annually, having this organization and its frequent meetings, Veterans Day on the Hill, and other opportunities for advocacy is a constant and expeditious way for decision makers to have real-time input from our state's veterans. The CTF invites the department into their monthly meeting and is a great opportunity to provide updates directly to the leaders of our major veterans organizations, hear feedback on our budget and legislative proposals, and hear about emerging issues in the veterans communities. We even include them in our Support Our Troops grant review team to help us make decisions in those areas about funding for different organizations serving veterans and their families. And as Representative Bliss stated, they've been included in multiple things in the past, including the SGU task force most recently. This bill is an overdue update to Minnesota statutes, and MDVA strongly supports this bill becoming a law. Thank you for your time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kelly, were you looking to testify as well?
No, Chair, thank you.
Perfect. Any questions? Yep, Representative Feist.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just curious. It doesn't sound like this list has varied at all since 1988 in terms of these being the largest organizations, but is there a reason to make it static in law? Do you want to say must consist of the following, but not limited, but not limited to, but including the following or something like that? It just seems like maybe there's another group that will flourish in the future.
Mr. Kelly?
Chair, Representative Feist, so it has largely been static. It started in 1988 with 9 organizations. The Vietnam Veterans of America folded their charter several years ago. These are the largest veterans organizations representing the most veterans in the state. They also have networked and national commanders, and so this is the structure that's always worked. I believe that if there were future large member-bodied, congressionally chartered organizations, that the CTF would likely entertain adding folks. But right now, the CTF, as it's configured, is meant to have the congressionally chartered, which is a key distinction, membership. And when they're speaking, they truly are representing all of our state's veterans. And they, through their post homes and their meetings, they are, it's frankly one of the best ways to get grassroots feedback in an expeditious manner that I've seen at the Capitol. So.
Follow-up, Representative?
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. As long as you don't think it would be annoying to have to come back here if there's like another organization that becomes congressionally chartered, and it just, yeah, that makes sense to me. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Lindsay before we move on to John Walker? No more questions? Is John Walker just walking in? Perfect. Perfect timing, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How you doing? Good.
Please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Yes. My name is John Walker. I'm the department commander for the DAV of Minnesota and vice chair of the Commanders Task Force. We're here today asking that the Commanders Task Force be formalized. For years, we have been providing feedback on veteran issues, like the SKG, Special Guerrilla Unit, SKU. And so we just think it's time for us to be, formalized. And that's what we're asking here today. We're not looking for additional funding or anything like that, but we would definitely appreciate that to formalize this committee.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we have Barry Hendrickson. State your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Thank you, Chair. Barry Hendrickson, Department of Minnesota, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Adjutant, Quartermaster, and Legislative Chair. The Commanders Task Force has been doing this for 40 years, but we do feel that it's important to formally recognize this relationship. As we all know, there can be changes on this committee, changes at the other committees, changes in the Senate, changes with the governor, and so to formally recognize the CTF as the advisors is important. Obviously, we actively promote and participate in legislative hearings like we do today. We did yesterday. We'll be at the Senate and working with the governor, those types of things. We also have a great relationship with the Department of Veterans Affairs, and we've been instrumental, I also believe, in creating the omnibus bill that we established 4 years ago. So we look forward to continuing our relationship, but we do feel it's important to make it formal. And as we said, there is no cost, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Engstrom, would you please state your name for the record and begin your testimony?
I'm Tim Engstrom. I'm the Communications Director for the American Legion Department of Minnesota. I just wanted to go through some of our successes real quick. The track record shows that you all can, I'm sure you can remember the Veterans Restorative Justice Act. We also eliminated the 8-year sunset for surviving spouses to receive the homestead market value exclusion and instead do a one-time transfer. That's huge. On the federal level, we pushed for a new vet center in St. Cloud, and if you go to St. Cloud, there's a vet center substation now, thanks to the CTF. CTF on the state level again, we increased the state grant for veteran service organizations. We often push to fully fund the MDVA several years in a row. Disabled veterans free entry into the Minnesota Arboretum, change how much the state takes from federal income that veterans have for homeless veterans when they enter into a shelter. You guys may remember that. We worked with Catholic Charities on that. Post 9/11 bonus, the several Minnesota Veterans and Military Affairs omnibus bills. We allow county veteran service officers greater access to county records to serve their veteran clients. Currently advocating for the modernization of the homestead property tax exclusion for disabled veterans. Of course, you may recall the Purple Star Schools program, bonding bill funding for maintaining MDVA buildings, as well as the SGU task force involvement. And that's just the ones I could think of right off the top of my head. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Does anyone have any questions of the testifiers or the chair on the bill? Is there any member discussion? I guess I didn't ask if there was any further testimony. Those are all 3 questions. Seeing none, Chair Bliss.
Thank you. This is an important bill. It's no cost to the state. We need to recognize the guys formally. So I move it forward to the General Register.
With that, Chair Bliss renews his motion that House File 4492 is re-referred to the General Register. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. The motion carries. House File 4492 is re-referred to the General Register.